For our Social for Life, we're celebrating the Dobbs decision that overturned Roe versus Wade. And applause for that. Yeah, awesome. Applause for that. Excellent. Applause for that. Let's celebrate life. I just want to do a couple of quick announcements for the club. First, I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank the board, especially the EC. Thank you very much, and especially our president, Gavin Wax, Vice President Nathan Berger, and the EC. Thank you again for giving us this platform and this opportunity to have this social. Just want to announce a couple of quick events. On the 12th, we have our Libertarian Jeopardy event, hosted by our chairman of the Libertarian Caucus, Lucas Federico. Please get your tickets on Eventbrite. Also, we have a karaoke night on July 20th. Tickets are on Eventbrite as well. That will be an awesome experience. Those two next two experiences will be awesome. So go ahead, get your tickets. And also, we have our gala. Gala is December 9th. Tickets are on Eventbrite also. It's going to be a major, great affair. If you went to the one last year, we had Donald Trump Jr., we had Marjorie Taylor Greene, Jack Posobiec. Yes. Leaders in the conservative movement. So this year is going to be even better. It's going to be at Cipriani Wall Street. So be sure to go ahead and get your tickets. Early bird pricing is on now. I don't know when they're going to take it off and put in regular pricing, but go ahead and get your tickets now. I think that's about it. Without further ado, I will introduce our outreach chairwoman, the person who I report to as the caucus chairman, Savannah Craven.
Hi, everyone. Thank you guys so much for coming. To see all of you guys' faces here just makes me so happy because this is my life. Saving babies is my passion, and it's just so amazing to have this platform. So thank you. So tonight we celebrate the overturning of one of the greatest human rights injustices of all time and the greatest one of our time. It was Roe versus Wade. For nearly 50 years, Roe haunted our country and allowed child killing on demand nationwide. And 1 year ago, a little over 1 year ago now, on June 24th, that was overturned, and Dobbs saved a lot of babies. Over this past year, Over this past year, we have saved over 60,000 babies from being murdered. And those children are going to do amazing things because they get an actual chance to do amazing things. And so I just want to celebrate that tonight. So now abortion is left up to the states, and we have the chance to change laws to protect life at all stages, born and preborn. So 1 year ago, I was actually outside of SCOTUS, patiently waiting for the decision. I was wondering if it was going to be the decision day. We didn't know. And at 10:10 a.m., it was announced that the Constitution did not confer a right to abortion. Yes. And later, a friend mentioned to me the Bible verse John 10:10. And here's what it says. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. And so I just thought that was so beautiful that our great Lord took that moment in what he said and so beautifully made that happen right at that moment. So Roe v. Wade, now that it's overturned, it was and it is still unconstitutional. A country is supposed to protect its people, especially its most vulnerable. And today, still, over 2,000 babies will be killed needlessly to abortion. So our work is not over. And as we know, in states like New York, California, New Jersey, etc., abortion is becoming even more widespread, right? Because it's left up to these states. And so many people think that our work is over or that we can take a pause or that we're done. But we all know that's not the case. Dobbs missed one extra point, that a person is a person, no matter how small. And so in our state, abortion is rising. And we have seen in 1 year that this abortion access has expanded. It's going to continue to expand. And so that's why it's our job to continue working every single day to share the message of abortion, getting it out that it's not only just children being killed, it's also these mothers, right? A lot of these mothers don't want to be making this decision. They don't know that there's other options and that there's people out here that will care for them and their baby before they're born and afterwards. And so the way that we do this is educating yourself on abortion, what's really happening in your area, in your state. Know what the people in our state are doing and the laws that they're trying to implement. Be actively pro-life, which means speaking out on social media, having conversations, sidewalk counseling, advocating for pro-life laws, and holding our leaders accountable. So a lot of people like to run on the fact, yeah, I'm pro-life, yeah. But actually, once we elect them, let's make sure that they're actually doing that and continuing to protect life and introducing bills to do so. The pro-life position is very simple. Abortion ends a human life, and ending a human life is wrong. It's not complicated. We're not just trying to control women. We're just trying to protect life at its most vulnerable stage. I want to encourage you all to get involved with lots of different pro-life organizations. I'm with Students for Life of America, so I work specifically with students. You can also join a 40 Days campaign or even just volunteer at your local pregnancy resource center. Donating is another great thing, dropping off diapers, calling to see what they need. It's really, really simple. And my message today with this is, if not you, then who? Who is going to do it, right? If we just sit back and say, well, yeah, I'm pro-life, I support people that do this work, it's like, no, you actually got to do something about it. So these innocent babies, these innocent defenseless babies and their mothers need us, and we can't stop fighting until every single human has the right to be born. So to Roe being gone forever. Thank you. So I have a couple great speakers tonight. My first speaker is Bernadette Patel. She is an amazing sidewalk counselor, and she's with Red Rose Rescue, and she's a full-time pro-life activist. We often sidewalk counsel together at the Crazy Witness for Life every first Saturday in Manhattan. Gets pretty rowdy, so please welcome her.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Savannah, for that great introduction. I met Savannah at the beginning of the month, and she saw me getting cussed out by pro-aborts and was like, you need to speak. And so I was like, okay. And so the topic was the state of the pro-life movement after Roe v. Wade. But before I talk about post-Dobbs, I'm going to take you guys back, bear with me, to 2020. Remember that great fun year? So it was right after 2 weeks to slow the spread turned out to be a lie. And I don't know if you guys remember when the George Floyd riots broke out. And we saw people smash windows, burn down buildings. My sister lived in Oakland, one of the most dangerous cities in America. And she lived right next to the police station because she thought she would be safe by a police station. Turns out not so when the riots broke out. The whole block was covered with glass for 2 weeks. She could not take her dog for a walk. Medication she needed, she could not access because they looted the CVS. Every day was kind of like a debate of should we go there, take her, bring her back to somewhere safer? It was a very scary and horrifying time, and I think all of you guys, especially in New York City, it was worse in New York City, remember it. I think one of the worst feelings, though, of those riots was that no one was held accountable. No one was arrested. No one was charged. The FBI, the DOJ, those in power that we pay to protect us looked the other way when this happened. And so, why do I mention that? And why am I bringing that up? How does this have anything to do with pro-life? So fast forward from 2020 to February of 2021. I look on Instagram, and one of my friends, kind of the more radical pro-life side, announces that the FBI had come in, raided her home, and had took her. And I was like, whoa, what did she do? And then a little bit later, I see a text message on my phone from one of my friends. They took my mom, Joan Bell, who is a famous pro-life activist. You can look her up later. So in the span of a couple of hours on that fateful February morning, 9 of my friends were taken by the FBI, charged with facing 11 years of federal prison and $250,000 worth of fines. What was their crime? Did they burn down McDonald's like they did in the Bronx? Did they tag the cathedral? No. What these people did was they went into the DC Surgery Abortion Clinic, a notorious abortion facility in the District of Columbia, run by the infamous abortionist Sant'Angelo, who advertises that he loves doing abortion, late-term abortion, specifically up until term. They went in, offered women roses, the chance of assistance, financial, monetary, whatever they needed. When the police came, they simply tied their arms to the chair and said, "We are not leaving because there are children dying here." And for that, they can face 11 years in federal prison. Fast forward again to July 7th, 2021. One of my close friends, Father Fidelis Mashinsky, you may have seen his name in the New York Post. He was even featured in a news article in BuzzFeed. After the Dobbs decision, he went to Hempstead Planned Parenthood and simply put 2 locks, or maybe a couple more, on the gates of the abortion facility and just tried to talk to women to see and let them know the beauty of life that they have, that there are resources available for them, that there is hope for them. When the police came, he quietly and peacefully and prayerfully lied down in front of the gate to try to keep them from unlocking it for as long as possible. He was sentenced to 6 months in federal prison, and he is in Nassau County Jail right now. And so this is the state of the pro-life movement in America. We are being persecuted everywhere we turn. If it isn't from protesters in the streets, it's from our own government, who has sworn to protect us. Savannah mentioned the Witness for Life. I don't know how many of you guys know what that is. Basically, for around more than 10 years, we have been peacefully having Mass at Old St. Patrick's Cathedral. After Mass ends, we walk 2 blocks to the Bleecker Street Planned Parenthood, pray 4 rosaries, and then walk back praying the Divine Mercy Chaplet. For the longest time, it was a nice thing to do on Saturday. It was peaceful. There was a great witness. We had turnarounds. But after the election of Amy Coney Barrett, something changed. And we started getting really horrific protesters. It started in Brooklyn. They smashed their posters on my priest's face. They've pinned me to the wall. The police had to get involved in Brooklyn. The last one we did in Brooklyn, 2 were arrested. Then they started coming to Manhattan. Their numbers slowly started to die out because they're anarchist and they get bored easily. But then the Dobbs decision happened. And so things became really, really, really intense. In August, 5 of them were arrested. One of their members, and you can look her name up, Teresa Yin-Shun, she was charged with terrorism charges to try to stop Cop City in Atlanta. She comes frequently to New York City to terrorize us. She pushed one of my priests against the wall, as well as one of my pro-life friends, who is 60 years old. Her ribs were bruised so badly she thought she broke them. While there was 5 arrests, the people who filed police reports never had a follow-up. They never were interviewed. They were never asked any questions. And from what we can tell, there was no justice done. September, there was no arrest. October, there was no arrest. November, 2 were arrested. And then December, 7 were arrested. One of them pushed me against a wall. I fell through the door. The police officer was horrified and pressured me to make a police report. I asked, what will this do if the DA is not going to charge them and if no justice will happen? And he was speechless. So the pro-life movement is struggling because we have 2 issues on both sides. We have radical groups of extremists who see this kind of as their religion, that we're touching on their fundamental right to kill their unborn. And so they go after us with everything they have. And then we have the other end of the spectrum. Our tax money goes to police that won't do their job, to DAs that look the other way, to an administration that instead of protecting us, actively tries to imprison us, yet looks the other way when this white substance is found in the White House. I wonder who left that there. It's crazy. It's still a mystery. And so this can be a cause for despair. To think, like, what's the point of praying? What's the point of putting myself in danger? What's the point of any of this? And I would say to save a life, to save an unborn human life. And so many of you, I'm going to guess, probably don't consciously think about abortion. You probably grew up in very conservative households. You were raised pro-life, but you don't really know many people that have had it. Maybe it was something like somewhere in passing. But we have all been affected by abortion. 1/3 of our generation is gone because of abortion. That is 1/3 of people that you know, that you could have cared about, that could have been your brother or sister or best friend or future spouse, is gone like that. And it's not just the people you could have known, it's the people that it affects, right? So there's a condition called PAS. Pro-lifers have been talking about it for many, many years. Planned Parenthood tries to deny it. Post-abortion stress syndrome. If you look up the details of it, it starts to make a lot of sense. It's a form of PTSD that women get when they have abortion. They become angry, they become violent, they become very, very wounded. You can see that even with those that yell at us outside of Planned Parenthood. Think of any other issue that this happens. School choice. It doesn't necessarily happen to the same degree as what the pro-life movement gets. Gun rights kind of activists or people who want to take away guns, they do get enraged, but you don't see this kind of violence from them the same way you see it in the pro-life movement. And it's because this is about a human life. This is about the fundamental question of, should we protect human life? Yes or no? And some people say no. So thank you, Savannah, for inviting me. And so for your homework, everyone, I'm going to invite you to something. So I won't invite you to the first Saturday because that's kind of intense, and I don't want you all to get PTSD and hate me. But instead, I will invite you to second Saturdays in Brooklyn. So every second Saturday of the month, we pray in Brooklyn at 44 Court Street. It's a Planned Parenthood. You can't tell. It's in the 6th floor, of a building, right next to a Lot Less and a cannabis store. It's very strange. The station is Borough Hall. You can meet us at 9 a.m. We're the ones holding signs, being the weirdos, just praying. Oh, I'm sorry, no, we're the violent ones just praying. Sometimes there are protesters praying that they're none this time, but it's up to God's will. When they do come, they're not that bad. So I invite you that being pro-life isn't about just saying I'm pro-life or coming to this and eating chips and listening to a speaker. It's about putting yourself in the place of the unborn, experiencing that discomfort of people looking at you or being like, what the heck is she doing? Or hearing those mean comments, my body, my choice. It's about sharing in the suffering of those that suffer so much and it goes unnoticed. So thank you, Savannah, and thank you, New York Young Republicans Club.
Thank you so much, Bernadette. So we have our third speaker now is Pearl Corbin. And she is one of the founding members of the Life Team New York, as well as a local Bronx leader for the 40 Days for Life. Pearl's calling is as an evangelical pastor and believes to stand with Christ and protect the innocent unborn. She presently serves as the chair on the board of directors for Expect Hope, the only evangelical resident home in New York City caring for young, unsupported, pregnant young mothers and their babies. So please give it up for Pearl.
Thank you so much, Savannah, for introducing me and being so kind and inviting me for tonight. It's wonderful to be with you. Now, I'm not an evangelical pastor, but what I do is I share this whole message with evangelical pastors and trying to get that message across about life. One of the things that I'm going to start off with is that even though that we hear a lot of the negative things that are going on, How many of you would like to hear that there has been an abortion facility closed in New York City? How many would like to hear that? And not just anywhere, but in the borough that has the largest amount of abortions being done, in the borough of the Bronx, where I come from. So give it up. Let's thank God, because if God can close that one, he can close other ones. And that's what we need to understand. Yes, there's a lot of evil stuff going on. There's a lot of violent things going on. But in the middle of all of that, God is moving. I remember I was asked to be a speaker at March for Life, New York. This was in Long Island in 2022. I was one of the many speakers. And when I got up, I could see some of the faces were like, is she really saying that? Because what I had said is that I really believe, this was about June the 2nd, 2022, I really believed that Roe v. Wade was going to be overturned. And the reason that I said that, I had believed it, number one, but number two is because God is the God of justice. It really kind of infuriates me when I hear the other side, the left to the left to the left, talking about social justice. We wouldn't even know what justice was all about if we did not know about God. If we did not know biblical justice, we don't have an understanding of what justice is. Now, I can't really get into it, and I did ask Savannah not to share some of the bio that I have, but I can tell you this, that I've been ministering in a closed nation for many years. And so I understand the fact that we think, all of this socialism and communism is just a wonderful thing. I look at people that say that, and I kind of just have to stand back a little bit, because I realize that they don't have a clue about what they're talking about. We're living, why you think they're all trying to get over here? Because we're living in still the freest nation that's on the planet right now, at least right now. Thank God. And that's how come there still was the possibility of having Roe v. Wade being overturned. But the reason that I had said that, and I'm not a prophet, but I do read my Bible. And the Bible talks about in the 50th year is the year of Jubilee. And so when I count back from January 73 coming up to January 2023, we're talking about what, 50 years. And he talks about how in the Word of God, it talks about there will be a release of those that have been enslaved in the 50th year. And if you really read your Bible, you know that that year of Jubilee actually begins in the 49th year, coming into the 50th year. So I didn't think that I was really going off of a limb when I stood there and everybody else was watching me, and I'm saying, no, I do believe that Roe v. Wade will be overturned. And some of the hands were clapping, and some of them like, I don't know. But fast forward, I think it was literally close to 2 weeks after that, thank God, Roe v. Wade had been overturned. Our Constitution never gave us a right to maliciously take the life of an innocent person. This is the United States of America, after all. And so we have not been given that right, thank God. So that came to pass. And I also remember another time, I'm looking at my watch because I want to be sure that I don't overdo. I remember a time about 3 years prior to that time that I was speaking at March for Life, New York. And so that was in June 2019. And I had the opportunity to go and attend March for Life, New York, that was being held in Albany. My daughter was with me and about 2 other ladies. I had parked the car in a place that I wasn't exactly sure where I had parked it. I knew where I parked it, but I wasn't exactly sure where was I parking next to. When we returned, I realized that we had parked right next to the governor's mansion in Albany. And so I looked at it, just to let you know how God moves. I looked at it and I saw there was a lot of security cameras, there were a fence, there was barbed wires, but mixed in with the security cameras were mics. A whole set of mics. And all of a sudden, yours truly was inspired to get in front of that security camera with the mics. And I said, Dear Governor, which was Cuomo at the time, You just did, that was June 2019, but you just did about 6 months ago a very bad thing. You were so happy and you were so gleeful and you were so joyous, so much so that you even lit up the Empire State Building, the Kosciuszko Bridge, the Alfred E. Smith Building in Albany, in rejoicing that you pushed through the ability to take the life of an innocent baby developing in the womb of his or her mom up until the day of their birth. You're so excited about that. But I'm going to tell you, sir, with all due respect, it's not too late to recant. It's not too late to turn this thing around. You can go back to your colleagues in Albany and say, look, I had a change of heart. I got a change of mind. Because I said, if you don't do that, trust me, you're going to pay the price. That was June 2019. June 2019. I think it was by August 2020, he was resigning before the time. Don't play with God, because he is God and he is holy. And I remember also saying, my daughter's a witness, that, you know, you're going to bring a curse upon New York if you continue this path. And what were we called by August 2020? The epicenter of the pandemic. But see, we got to start connecting the dots. I'm going to tell you about 3 things tonight. I'm going to use the acronym FIT, F-I-T. The first thing is we need to stay focused, because we already know that we're on God's side. We're on the right side. We're on the side of life. Savannah read it from John chapter 10, verse 10. Jesus comes to give life and that in abundance. The enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. But he said, I come to give life in abundance. And so you hear about how this place has been shut down. That was perhaps one of the oldest, if not the oldest, abortion facilities in the Bronx, New York. When you passed that place, there was no sign saying women's center or women's health or abortion clinic. No, it didn't say that, but it had a huge address. See, they already know that what they're doing is evil. They already know that what they're doing is not right. So this particular one bragged on their website, we have been servicing women for more than 52 years. Yeah, you've been servicing women, all right. But the man who owned the place was a Jewish man, obviously not a devout Jewish man, and they were doing the surgical operations, guess when? On Saturday, on the Sabbath. Well, he eventually lost his license because of at least 2 women that lost their lives under his care. And let's not talk about the thousands of babies that never did see the light of day. But see, we can go so far and then God will say that's enough. And so they went but so far, and God said that's enough. And I want to encourage you, number 1, be focused. We thank God Roe v. Wade has been overturned, but we won a battle, but the war is not won yet. So I don't want us to get complacent, get comfortable and think, okay, we won that. Now we all can just party, have a good time. No, we're in the heat of the battle. But what I want to encourage you with is a secret that I've learned through my life. I don't have what it takes to win this war. You don't have what it takes to win this war. It is not just this war with the pro-life issue, but even the thing where they're now trying to teach 4 and 5 years old to think about it. You maybe want to become a different gender. This is evil. I'm going to tell you why. If you don't even know what you are, the devil's already got you. Because you don't know what you are now. So now you could be one of 57 or 78. Because you don't know exactly. But see, that's not God. And listen, be focused. Don't let people take you off your game. But what about this? And then they'll take you off of a far different conversation, and you'll scratch your head later and figure out, wait a minute, how do we get into that? Remember, be focused. Be focused. Be focused. What I learned is that Jesus said, I am the vine. You are the branches. And without me, you can do no good thing. Now, I led a 40 Days for Life campaign outside of that place for the last 7 years. Prior to me, people had been praying for years. And I believe God took all those prayers and all those tears, not just when we were there, but all those prayers and tears together and combined to finally give us the victory. But I had to be, as the leader of that campaign, very focused. People would come by, say all kind of things, give me all kind of fingers, some of them very bad, some of them good. But in the end, the last couple of years, I found that I got a lot more good fingers than I'm not going to show you the bad finger. I got a lot more, yeah, we're with you. I wish I had the time to tell you some of the stories. Phenomenal stories. But be focused, because the thing of it is, you never want to get to a position where you think, I can do this and I can do that. No, you can't. I'm going to tell you that right now. You cannot. But Christ in you can do all things. So nothing is beyond the realm of possibility when it comes with him. And so that's how come I believe after 7 years of just plowing there and fasting and believing God and standing there, whether it was rain, whether it was snow, whether it was sleet, whether I was being cursed out, we're not being cursed out. We stuck with it, and God said, time, close. And I believe that's the beginning of an avalanche to come across New York City. But my question to you is, do you have faith to believe? Do you have faith to believe that God's not only able to close that one in the Bronx, but others are going to soon follow? Do you know that when I started, people told me, oh, Pearl, you don't need to come here. We already got people coming here and praying for years before you got here. And so I had to be steadfast, and I had to be quiet in my spirit and discern, Lord, okay, what are you saying? Because if you're saying to leave, then I don't need to be here. But what are you saying? So number one, I didn't even mean to talk like this, but I know it's God. I know this is a New York Republican meeting. I understand that, and the young Republicans, but I'm here to speak to you because I've been young. And I've been serving him since I'm young. So I've seen some things. And I've not just lived in America. I was born and raised in the Bronx, but I have not just been here. I don't have the opportunity to tell you, but I've been to some places that you would not believe. And so I've seen some things. And I can tell you that the God that we serve, he's big, but he's bad. He's terrible. Don't mess with him. Don't mess with him. The other thing is be intentional. We're talking about fit. Be focused. Don't let anybody get you off your game. You know what God's called you to do, Savannah. You be focused. And don't let anybody, no matter how nice, no matter how convincing, get you off your game, girl. Be intentional. I'm not just here to play games. I'm here for the kill. For the good. I'm here for the kill. Because sometimes these people will talk to you and, but that's my friend. And I don't want them to feel bad. It's not about them feeling bad. Are they promoting life or are they promoting death? We've become a nation of liars. Come on. Let's just get real. We become a nation of liars. So now we have in the public school that they're lying to the children. Straight up lying. And let me just give you a little secret. If you have a child, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a little bit older, and they've been given pornographic material, do not go to the school board. Do not go to the principal. Do not go to, all these other people. Go straight to the police.
Come on. You preach.
I am. You know why, brother? Because this is a crime. It's on the books. You're not supposed to show pornographic material to the little children. But we've been so, let's just all be nice. Look, the devil is out for the kill. He's out to take you away from your destiny. He's out to take you away from your God-given purpose. I'm talking to the 19. I'm talking to the 20. I'm talking to the 21, the 22, the 17, the 23. I'm talking to you if you're 26, 29. You will never be this way again. You're only going to be 29 1 year. You're only going to be the age that you are this time. This time next year, you'll be another year. Make this year as dangerous to the devil's camp and as powerful to the kingdom of God as totally possible. Be intentional. Lastly, be tenacious. Be tenacious. Don't be, wishy-washy. The devil loves wishy-washy. He loves compromise. He loves, I could be this way today and I could be that. It all depends on the weather. No, thank God he doesn't deal with us like that. And he said, I believe it's in Mark 9:23, that all things are possible. Somebody asked me, somebody high in the ProLife arena, I won't tell you who, they asked me, do you really think it's possible for, and it's a sincere question, I don't fault them, but it's just a question. Do you think it's really possible to end abortion in New York City? Come on, we're the capital. Let's just be real. We're the capital of abortion. It was Margaret Sanger who came to New York and who was a New Yorker that started this filth here. She was the one who the people in the Nazi regime, they adored her. She was one of their champions. And she was from New York. Wicked, wicked, wicked. Wicked individual. It's almost like she put a curse. She was the one who went to the pastors, the ignorant black pastors, and tried to get them to come along with the program, give them some money. I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to never be asked, say, well, we can never ask her back. But the same kind of mentality was talking to some of the pastors just a few years ago to open up their churches and get them using the pestilence jab and the snake bite. The same pastors. Maybe it was their descendants. I don't know. But be tenacious. Got one aim in view. Why do they want to take the lives of the little ones? Because God created them to worship him. This is not just that people want, things are so crazy. I remember I'm way over the time now. Woo, sit down, Pearl. Way over the time. Oh, man. Okay, this is it. I was down by Planned Parenthood on Bleecker Street before we started our campaign, so years ago. And one woman so foolish, you know what she said? Well, everybody's entitled to have an abortion. Y'all are you don't even know what you're saying. Be fit. God bless you.
Thank you, Pearl, so much. That was amazing, right? Okay, so now we're going to do a little Q&A. So if any of you guys have questions, you can feel free to ask. I'll sit here.
So, this is time for questions. Anybody have any? All right, there we go. Next hand.
Well, I'm definitely not as well dressed as you guys, but I'll manage. Yes. So I want to ask, so it seems like, I'm a 90s kid, and the world that I grew up in is very different from the world today. And I feel like the Overton window has been creepingly moving further and further left, not just in politics, but also in culture and in media and entertainment. The pro-life movement has become much more of a difficult fight, but we've always had our upsets, whether it be just as recent with the SCOTUS decision. My question for you is, I feel like the fallacy of us as conservatives that we always make these like rare victories and then we kind of lose momentum. How do we keep up the fight and not allow the left to like roll us back?
So I think a lot of what the conservative movement does is in the judicial branches. And so it's not like, it's not visually seen. So like with the Federalist Society and just filling the Federalist judges on the federal courts as well as the Supreme Court, that's not something that you go to rallies for. That's not something that you have marches for. And so I think the conservative movement doesn't put a lot of emphasis on activism, but more on the judicial legislative branches. So Friday, we got a very big win. The SCOTUS struck down discrimination. They struck down affirmative action after almost nearly the same amount of years as Roe v. Wade, like it was 50 years or something like that. How many of you ever seen an affirmative action march or like march against affirmative action? How many of you have ever went to a go against affirmative action rally? And so I think, especially with conservatives, we definitely put a lot more emphasis instead of on cultural issues and going out there on kind of like the bottom of like filling judges, changing minds with people in power. It works. It works in terms of laws. It doesn't work in terms of like the Overton window, which you said. However, I think the pro-life movement is the only one that's different. It's really, the conservative movement has put a lot of emphasis on making pro-life kind of, in a sense, reasonable. Like if you meet a conservative on campus and they say they're pro-life, like obviously they'll get kickback and things like that, but it's kind of like accepted. Like you're conservative, you're pro-life, or you're Christian, you're pro-life. Not so much the same with like same-sex marriage or affirmative action. People get mad at you. They're like, why? You don't agree with that and stuff like that. So I think like with conservatives, I would really say like making sure you're loud about these things and really like discussing, most importantly, knowing the facts of what you're talking about. So like with affirmative action, you'll hear people say, well, like Clarence Thomas wouldn't have gotten in without affirmative action. That is a bold-faced lie. You don't know that. He is a smart, intelligent man. He could rely on his own merit and things like that. So I know it's difficult, but be loud about your beliefs. Like with my coworkers, they know me as like the pro-life person, and like be that person, because you will be telling them that there are people that have these beliefs and they exist and they are the majority.
Great. Any other questions? Oh yeah, Dion.
Come on up, Dion.
I don't want to be on camera because I'm ugly.
Whatever.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dion Powell. Thank you. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. Now, here's the most important question for me. Where can we get abortion data? For example, I'm hearing rumors that in New York City, the black women are having more abortions than having babies. But they said that was fake news. So where can I get the abortion data?
Oh, well, I mean, I would say you can go right on the Guttmacher Institute, which is literally like the people that do Planned Parenthood statistics every year. They're out there and they're clear to see. And the really sad thing is that although black women are only about 8 to 9% of the population, we're sold over 34% of abortions. And there's over 20 million of us missing since 1973. As a lot of you guys probably know, like Pearl had mentioned, abortion is here because of Margaret Sanger. She was a eugenicist, a proud racist, and she founded Planned Parenthood. And like you were saying, she sent these black pastors out into the community, wanted to give birth control, saying, oh, you don't need to have children, things like that. And even though that Margaret Sanger has died, every single year we're getting more and more and more Planned Parenthoods and abortion facilities within walking distance of minority communities. 88% of their mega facilities are within black and minority communities. They're still racist. They still want to kill us off. And so it's just so interesting that the same party that came up with slavery and that defended people like the Nazis are the people that defend abortion. Yet they're the ones that claim, we're all inclusive. We love black people. Black lives matter. But yet you would advocate for my mother to have killed me in the womb. And so I just think that's really interesting. And it's just a really huge thing. I've had people say to me, like, and on college campuses, oh, Margaret Sanger wasn't real. Well, Planned Parenthood doesn't really like go along with what she says anymore. It's like, yes, they do. And if you called up and asked right now to any Planned Parenthood, I'd like to fund an abortion specifically for a black mother to kill her baby, they'll proudly take it. So it's not that we're just fighting against a woman's rights to have an abortion. We're fighting against racism. We're fighting against legalized murder. And I think that you should mention that when you're having these conversations to the anti-racists.
And not to point Savannah out, but we need to be knowledgeable like Savannah. You see how she's able to come So we've got to do our homework. We've got to know what's going on, not just, but she knows. And so we have to take time, do our homework, be knowledgeable, and understand. There's so much that we can tell them. I'll just say something that I just heard today. It's going to bless you. It's going to encourage you to speak into the culture. Speak into your sphere of influence. Because you can speak to people that we'll never be able to speak to. So if everybody does their job, we're going to get the word out. So my friend was telling me when she was, and we're talking about 30 years ago. This is not in this 21st century. So she's telling her Columbia professor, after listening to a whole lot of rhetoric for a long time and everybody in the classroom, she told me, Pearl, after I listened and things went back and forth and I kept my mouth shut, I finally came up and I said, I'd like to say something, and I did. And he actually listened. Some people will actually listen. So he listened, and this is what he said. I've never heard that perspective before. So some of the people that you're talking to, they have never heard the right perspective before. All they're hearing 24/7, like we heard about, just take this 24/7, 24/7, 24/7, 24/7. All they hear is, a woman's body. Her body, her choice. Of course, that's not her body. Because she's leaving with her heart, her limbs, her brain, her everything, and that child lost everything. But I'm just saying, speak. Be well equipped to speak, like you're hearing these two young ladies here tonight.
Thank you.
Very quickly, my name is Denzel Monk. I'm from New News Christian View. And I first want to say thank you very much for the information you ladies provided for us. And you guys are heroes. If I wish I had a plaque to give you. But my question is, there's the old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. All three of those topics that we talked about being recently passed in our favor in the Supreme Court should never have happened in the first place. And what's being done by us to prevent those kind of things from happening? We let them put these crazy laws into place, and then take years and years and years to get them out when we could stop them before they got there. We need to strategize to do that. How are we going to do that?
So if you're specifically talking about abortion, it was legalized by the Supreme Court in the 1970s, coming off the tail of the sexual revolution. When you give people unlimited, sex without consequences, they're going to expect sex without consequences. And so I think part of it is a huge cultural shift, and I see it changing right now. I think a lot of people coming from families that have divorce, blended families, have a lot of wounds. I know a lot of my friends who have faced unplanned pregnancies. When I talk to them, they ended up sleeping with a guy they knew would leave because they said, I just wanted to fill that wound in my heart. So I think it's kind of cliche, but just loving people and helping them heal those wounds and helping them not to get to this point of wanting an abortion.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. We don't value human life in our society nowadays. I mean, it doesn't even matter if one of us is standing on the sidewalk. These people will walk up to us and without a care in the world will hit us, spit at us, yell the most just disgusting, crazy things that I would never even think about saying to someone, right? And when you don't value yourself, how can you possibly value somebody else? People don't know their gender. They don't know what they want to do. They don't know what they want to be. It's like if you don't have something wrong with you or you're not dysphoric, then you're not going to fit in. No one's going to think about you, care about you, be concerned. We have people on antibiotics and antidepressants, and all these different pills because there's something wrong with them. It's like, no wonder we don't care about each other and we can't focus on just loving people. It's because we're so messed up and we normalize this to be so normal and be depressed all the time. And so I think we just need to get back to a culture of even if we don't know someone, even if we don't agree with them, doesn't mean we get to disrespect them. It doesn't mean that we get to hurt them, whether that be emotionally, verbally, physically. just respecting human life, and that's why we're whole life. You know, that's why it doesn't just stop at, oh, well, the woman chose life, or our job is over. It's the whole life, because human beings matter from womb to tomb. You want to say anything else? Okay.
And a big part of it is the family, of course. And so this is the number one unit that the powers that be, that should not be in power, but the powers that be, this is the number one unit that they're attacking, because they don't want that right unit, the mom, the dad, the children. Because when the mom and the dad and the children are functioning in the way that God designed and are taught by their parents first, rather than a secular society, then they're going to learn, number one, who they are, who their God is, and what their purpose is. So you're talking about a whole generation and generations of people that don't know what their purpose is. They don't know that they have God-given destinies. When I say that, people are like, a lot of people are in shock. I have a destiny? They've never even heard the concept. So I'm as radical to tell people, it's not just, it's good that you're getting married, this man, this woman, and you're going to create, but what is the purpose of you all getting married for? Is there a destiny for this marriage? Is there a purpose? Otherwise, you're just like everybody else. You're just, just fit the regular thing. There should be a destiny. There should be purpose, that what you bring to the table adds substance and makes a change for eternity. So it does begin in the home, I believe. And if it begins in the home, when they leave the home and they come out into the society, they come out into what I call Pharaoh's court. They know how to stand with confidence and how to speak the truth in love. That's it.
All right, anybody else? Okay.
So my question is a little loaded. I had a miscarriage. And so when you talked about the trauma, when I had that miscarriage, I think I'm still suffering to this day, because I had a twin, and these two babies were growing inside of me. And, we use the word miscarriage, or you can say it was an abortion, spontaneous abortion, right? So, of course, in my brain, I have a son. I still think about my two boys. And I don't know if I'm traumatized. I still talk about them. And that's many, many, many years ago. So it's a death. Like how my mom passed away, I still think about my mom. My dad passed away, I still think about him. My brother passed away. Someone has died that I know. These were two boys that like I said, was growing inside of me. And I saw them and they were taken away. And they're no more. So when you talked about that trauma, so I know you have the clinics and you're out there trying to help people not to have the abortion. And I used to use the word abortion. I'm taking back all the language that the left is using.
Please.
I'm not using it. I don't know if you don't. I don't say abortion. It is murder, because you're killing your kid. So that trauma, what do you do after? Is there any way now that you help that person, that lady, after that abortion and the trauma that she suffered? Because the left tells you all kinds of stuff, but they don't tell you the after effect of everything. They don't tell you the trauma you're going to suffer. They don't know the pain you're going to have afterwards. So what do you do with that?
I'd like to address that first, and then my younger sisters will help. They'll come behind. Number one, are you from where my dad was born?
Call it.
Barbados?
Oh, gosh, I tried to hide it. Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to speak to you first. Okay. Number one, you didn't have an abortion, because an abortion but an abortion, even the word abortion is meant to terminate a life. So you did not terminate a life, and even though you call it spontaneous abortion, no one went in there to terminate the life of your twins. So that's why I would not call it an abortion at all. I would call it a miscarriage. And we do have what we call post-abortive ministries, not just for people that have had abortions, but for people that have had miscarriages. And they will minister to you and pray with you and walk you through a journey. One of the ones that I know several of them, but one of the ones I know, it's an actual Bible study that goes like for a few weeks. and it's weeks of healing. Some of them happen over a weekend, a very intense weekend. But we have post-abortive ministry and also ministries for people that have had, and I'm so sorry for your loss. But I do believe that you will see your sons again. Amen? I believe that.
I just want to say I'm so sorry for your loss. And that doesn't matter. You know, when you lose a child, that pain is with you for a while. And I think the first thing to do is to acknowledge that it is a child. You know, one of the biggest pains with miscarriage in our society is that people refuse to acknowledge that the person is a mother. And we use language that's like, the expectant mother. No, she's a mother. Oh, you're expecting a child. No, there is a child right there in you. And so I would say, like, first acknowledge that you are a mother. Those are your sons. I've heard that it helps to name your sons. Even if you couldn't see them to give them a name, it helps with the healing process.
I actually had to name them because, right, so I actually had to name one because when you have a twin, the first one usually kills the second one. So one of them lived for hours. So I had to get a birth and death certificate for them. And so I had to name them. But I have a son. So my son is replacing the two that I lost. But of course, I'm still thinking about it. But like I said, it was the trauma, and what are you doing about the trauma to help people? Because you think about it for the rest of your life.
And I think also another thing, too, is with your son, he is not an only son. He has two brothers as well. And so to use this language, so like personally for me, like my mother had 2 abortions. And so I count those 2 children, those 2 babies as my brothers as well. And like when people ask me how many siblings you have, I say I have 2 brothers alive, 2 in heaven, and then 1 sister. And so it brings up conversation and it humanizes them as well. And then again, I think this is a completely normal feeling to have. You know, there's people that are 90 years old whose sons died in the war and they still think about it. We say that's normal because that's their son. And we should say the same thing with miscarriage. And so just like finally a last point, even with abortion, like you notice like when a celebrity gives her abortion story, she was like, I was 19, it was April, this is when I had it. Who remembers a surgery with that exact detail? I don't remember when I had my tonsils out when I was a little child. I don't remember like my last root canal, but you remember dates when something traumatic happens. And because miscarriage or abortion is traumatic. God bless you, and your sons are smiling on you.
Again, I am so sorry for the loss of your sons, and just know that we're going to be praying for you. I think a huge thing that the abortion industry does is with that, you know, they love to use it just wasn't the right time. And, well, this child was a mistake because I wasn't supposed to get pregnant now. No person is a mistake. And we are privileged to be born here and be able to even say that. And to tell a woman that her fertility and this child that she's carrying is going to ruin her life or it's suppressing her ability to achieve her dreams is just inherently anti-woman. I mean, the abortion industry is racist. They are sexist. They hate women. They literally do. They're all the things that they call us, right? But that's what the devil does, right? Is he'll put you in the blame. And so we have to step up and say no. Even though this might not be the perfect time, because really everybody that's here that is a parent, is it really ever a perfect time? No, right? But it was the time intended for you. And I mean, I was not expected. Half of us were not planned. So therefore, if we were to end the life of every person that wasn't here, half of you guys wouldn't be in this room right now. And that's the reality. But again, no person is a mistake. All right, I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah. I think we'll wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Just want to make an announcement. Proceeds from this event will go to the Sisters of Life. Yes. Is that correct? Okay. You're going to be donating proceeds from this event?
And for those that don't know, the Sisters of Life is a wonderful organization. They have a maternity home. Any woman that comes to them, no matter the need, no matter the faith background, no matter the values, they will help. So it's a wonderful organization.
Awesome. And also, we have an opportunity to help keep the political action. We were talking about being active in pro-life measures, getting active in politics. We have an opportunity to help keep the conservative foothold in Virginia state legislature. They have a majority in the House, but they have a slim minority in the Senate. If they can get opportunity to flip the Senate, we can make Virginia a pro-life state full and foremost. There's opportunity to do phone banking, and also ultimately opportunities if you want to go to Virginia to do some more political canvassing. If you're interested, please come see me about it, and we could take it from there. But otherwise, I will let you all go back to socializing. Thank you very much. Thank you for our speakers for your awesome. Can we give a good round for these speakers? Thank you. With that said, enjoy and keep the good times going. All right.
And can we quickly get the board up here for a quick photo with our amazing speakers?
Yeah. Yes. Board. Board rally. Hold on. Wait.
Like the bylaws of